build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Wednesday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. We got all kinds of things to talk about today. Did you see what Mark Stoops had to say about Georgia?
Highlights, yeah. A little bit.
Got any problem with that?
That's a little bitter.
Could it be the truth, though?
Well, it's the truth, but it's like, what are they doing wrong?
It was almost like a fundraising pitch in a lot of ways.
Like, hey, if we want to be Georgia, we need to
kind of
do what they're doing and what USC's doing and what all the big dogs are doing.
Talk about that.
Yep.
Man, if you haven't been following, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't, but Big 12 men's match play on the golf course down in Houston this week. One Ryder Cowan has been awesome. He was able to qualify to play on the team last week, and then, in the qualifiers or what have you. He's played all 4 matches, playing right now as well, and he has just played fantastic. We'll tell you all about that. Going to let Jared gloat. Talk about the Major League Baseball playoffs and let Jared gloat. But also put a little truth serum in him. Jim's truth serum. We'll have to kind of go back and forth with that. Houston showed why they're why they're the Astros yesterday, and just a beat down in Minnesota. One step closer to you know what, Jared? Burrito time.
What was the bet?
That Minnesota would not beat Houston. I had Houston in the ALCS.
Okay. Well, you can get your burrito.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till Friday.
I won't be here, by the way. You know that, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wait till Monday. Don't do it tomorrow.
Can't tomorrow or Tuesday? I can't.
Not tomorrow. We get free stuff tomorrow. So we'll talk Houston. Rangers Stros looks like it's coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun on the text line, back and forth. Will the Braves get to play another home game? Question on the board. Also, the Dodgers. Are they now just kind of a regular season team? Have some of the losses that they've incurred throughout the years turned them away from really a postseason team? Just one of those that racks up a bunch of wins. I got some interesting stats. Do you want one? Do we want a stat? See if people can get it?
Like a stat trivia question?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. It's a baseball. So Corey Seager has now reached safely 3 or more times in 5 straight games, okay? So he's been on base at least 3 times in 5 straight playoff games. That ties the longest streak in baseball history. It ties him with 3 other dudes. Can you tell me who the 3 other dudes are? So once again, Corey Seager has now reached base safely at least 3 times in 5 straight playoff games. That ties the longest streak ever. It ties him with 3 other guys. We can talk about some high school football rankings. I found all 3 polls interesting around the state. What are the best games in the area? What are the best games in the state? Also, large school fast pitch tomorrow. They did what the small school did as far as the schedule, but a little different.
Really?
Yeah, they go Fire Lake, OU, as opposed to Fire Lake, OSU.
They haven't torn down the
Marita Hines. It's
still there?
It's still there. And one local team will be participating tomorrow in that. Obviously, some high school football. And then I'll tell you, listen, If you're worried about a drop-off with Big Elk football, don't be for the next few years after what I've been able to watch in the junior high ranks this year. It continued last night as well. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That is 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. Talk about any of those things. Whatever else might be on your mind, feel free to chime right in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, you can stay in touch with the show a couple of ways. Log on to kadsam.com or download the app. The app has got it all. Radio, Penny News, brand new edition of the Penny News hit the website last night at midnight. Check out the brand new deals online, thepennynews.com. Also, the print edition of the Penny News will be out in some locales tonight. By tomorrow morning, you can find it wherever you find the Penny News on a weekly basis. Big Elk and Paragon TV. Is everybody playing tomorrow? I know Elk City and Merritt are playing tomorrow.
That's a great question.
Let me look up. I'll look up Hollis. But anyhow, Big Elk and Paragon TV on the air tomorrow for sure. With the Big Elks for sure. With Merritt. And then also, I think probably Hollis as well will be on the air tomorrow, the 12th. Yep, Hollis at Beaver. So the Tigers go to Beaver. The Merritt Oilers travel to, what is that, about 11 miles west for the battle for Beckham County.
Man, it's Wednesday. We haven't even said that.
I have. I said it on the sports report at least.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the battle for Beckham County. It's hard to make it stick if you don't ring it out,
keep
Jared.
saying the battle of or for?
I thought you always said for.
The battle for Beckham County?
The battle of Beckham County.
The Beckham County battle?
It was always the battle of Beckham County.
We got to figure this out and copyright it and make sure we get credit for it.
Beckham County battle. I like the battle for Beckham County.
The battle for Beckham County?
I like it.
That sounds good.
Merritt and Sayre. And then the Elks travel to Chickasha tomorrow night to take on the Fighting Chicks. Another big game. Could essentially lock up a playoff spot in a lot of ways if you're able to knock off Chickasha because of the tie breaks that then you would have over Chickasha and Cache, with Weatherford going to Cache and then Weatherford coming here next week. Still lots to be decided in 4A1 outside of maybe the top spot and the bottom two spots. How everything shakes out in the middle is still way up for grabs in 4A
and
District 1.
That is very important when it comes to matching up with potential opponents in the playoffs and traveling or hosting. There's a lot up for grabs. And Clinton still has to take care of business, too. Let's not just go ahead and write them in as the winner. They still got to win.
I'm going to go ahead and do it.
They still got to do some stuff.
I'm going to do it. Oh, also.
Did you notice that I caught wind of this like yesterday? They're playing Guyman. Clinton is.
That's right.
Non-district game. And they've already said the JV's playing them. They're not going to play their starters.
Last time we saw Guyman, why would they?
I think Guyman's gotten some wins this year. I don't know who they've played, though. They're not in the OSSAA, so they're playing a lot of teams from that area in Kansas and Colorado and North Panhandle of Texas. But they've gotten some wins. I just don't know who.
And, of course, we'll have Coach Maynard here in just a little bit as well. 9:45.
It will be Coach Maynard.
I think so.
Good.
I didn't get any.
I don't know how much I could take of Johnny. I'm kidding. No, good. That'll be good. We should take a poll of how everybody is traveling to Chickasha. Are they taking I-40 and risking the construction, or are they going to go down to 152 and over? What is the best bet? I-40 to El Reno. What's that highway runs north-south?
81.
Down to 81, or go to 152 and weave through the fine communities of Ouachita and Caddo County to the highway down to Chickasha to avoid construction. What should we do? What's the route we should take? 225-9698. Let us know.
Yeah, what's everybody doing? That's something that I didn't think about because
it just occurred to me this morning getting ready. I thought, wait a minute. And then when you put in the Google Maps, it actually took me down to 152 as the first option.
Maybe because of that. because the Google Maps understands the difficulty that can be that traffic.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, last night, the 7th and 8th grade football teams here got a chance to watch the 7th grade game and the first half of the 8th grade game before I had to go. They
took on
Altus. And I know that last year the 8th graders were defeated by Altus. They got revenge. 7th grade won 40-6. 8th grade got it done 28-0. So now the 7th grade improves to 6-1. The 8th grade 7-0 with just cash left on the schedule. Tucker Lowry for the 7th grade had a couple of touchdowns. Rosiah had a couple of touchdowns. Rosiah Reese. Then on the 8th grade side, Riley Smith had a couple of touchdown runs. I know Graham Eastham hit Hadley Brown for the first one in the first half on a pass, the corner of the end zone. So yeah, there's a lot to be still a lot of excitement, I think, up and down. It's not we've seen here kind of some times where big senior classes moved on and then there was a void left to be filled. I don't know if that's the way this is going to be, man. Feels like the Elk City's got them stacked in there, kind of class after class after class. So it's good stuff, very good stuff from the junior high team, Coach Green and all the assistants that are down there. Saw Jay Mack up in the booth. He wasn't actually on the field, but he was in the house up in the booth, kind of taking it easy.
He's really milking it, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think he's going to work all week.
Well, I'm glad he was there. That's good.
Yeah, good stuff. Looking at the rankings this week in high school football,
I haven't even found them.
So they were here's through across all three publications, the AP, Tulsa World, and the Oklahoman. In 4A, the teams were nearly identical, and even kind of the slots a little bit. So all three had Poto number 2, Wagner number 1. So they all three had it that way. Then from 3 to 6, they all three had the same teams, but maybe in a different order. And those same teams were Blanchard, Tuttle, Ada, and Newcastle. I think 2 of them had Blanchard 3rd. One of them actually had Ada 3rd. So that's how that went. All 3 of them had Clinton 7, Cushing 8. And then all 3 had Tulsa McLean in the poll at either 9 or 10. 2 of them had Bethany. The other had Sallisaw. So it was a pretty agreeable poll in a lot of ways. Looking at the AP, because that's the only one that has extra votes, the Elks were the last one that got votes. Weatherford was just in front of them. Maybe Hilldale or somebody like that had some votes.
No, I found the AP, which was one I really care about. I think I put a lot of stock in it. If the poll extended from 10, it'd be Weatherford 11, Harrod 12, Elk
That's
City
what it was.
13.
Yeah, so I knew Weatherford was ahead of the Elks.
And
so I
there's
should
your
remember who else it
McLean
was.
right there at 10.
Yeah.
First time they've been ranked in probably a very long time. Yeah. All right. How about anybody else in the area looking?
Hinton was ranked in Class A in a couple of them, like 8 and 10, and not in another one.
Not so much in the AP.
So it must have been the other 2.
Right outside at 11.
Yeah, they were 8, and maybe Tulsa World was 8, Oklahoman was 10, and then 11 in the AP. Class B was really interesting because Tulsa World and AP, well, they all had the same top 3. It was like Sealing, Dewar, and who was 3rd? Laverne. So AP and Tulsa World had Shattuck 4. Oklahoma had Shattuck 10th. So that was a big discrepancy there.
AP had Shattuck 4.
Yeah, the AP and Tulsa World had Shattuck 4, 10th for that was one of the biggest discrepancies you really saw. And then in Class C, top 3 were the same in all of them. Let's see, who was it? It's Tipton, then Timberlake, then Ryan in all 3. And then Mountain View Gotebo was 4th in one, 5th in another, 6th in another. Looking through the polls yesterday. So, there's a bunch still left to be decided. But it looks like, in those 8-man, Northwest Oklahoma is going to be very, very well represented within Mountain View Gotebo there as well. And then we'll see what Hollis could do coming out of that district because they're going to have chances. Already had one against Laverne, have Shattuck later on the schedule. So there's going to be chances to move up.
8-man's fun. You ever get a chance to witness an 8-man game, go check it out.
Big games in the district, obviously, this week. There's 2 of them. Weatherford going to Cache, the Elks going to Chickasha. Those will be the two games that really make that kind of start deciding maybe some orders, maybe some playoff spots. Weatherford could essentially wrap up a playoff spot after beating both Chickasha and Cache. The Elks are kind of in that same spot as well. Even with the 3-way tie, if you have a win over both the teams you tie with, you obviously win that tie break. So that's for the 2 I-40 schools, chances to pretty well sew up a playoff spot, and then you start figuring out what order you're going to be in if you can win tomorrow night.
Yeah, a lot still on the table. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very important to fight for that 2 spot, and then again, I know you're more wrapped up the district, but you never know what could happen. Someone could get hurt. You're not wishing upon that, but something kooky can happen, and Clinton could slip up. You never know, but you got to put yourself in a good position to be in that spot. But with the way this matches up with 4A2, you really, really want to.
You'd rather be at home.
You want to host.
You'd rather not go to Tuttle or Blanchard.
No.
Of course, we thought that. Honestly, we thought that 2 years ago, and it probably would have been the best thing to go to Tuttle first.
Probably.
Ended up playing Clinton in the finals.
Probably. Yeah, that would have been the better game. But who's just top of my head without looking? Is Bethany 3 right now?
No, Newcastle. Newcastle and Bethany and Tuttle.
They have yet to play, though.
Newcastle, Bethany, Tuttle, all 2-1.
That is a lot to be decided there.
Because Newcastle and Tuttle haven't played. Tuttle and Bethany have. So it may come down to that Newcastle-Tuttle game. And then, of course, so the last 2 games of the season, Newcastle goes 2 Tuttle and 2 Bethany. That'll decide 2, 3, and 4. Because it looks like, Hara was how in the world are they getting votes in the AP poll? Are you kidding? Losing record in District 1 and 3? Actually, it should be 1 and 2 because that Blanchard game's in there twice.
Is there a lot of respect for 4A2? They think.
Well, they started out really good in the non-district, and then they got to play teams, and they've just gotten smoked.
Yeah.
By the good ones, and they'll probably get it again this week against Newcastle. But yeah, that 4A2, and I even look even further. So if you end up 3rd, which the Elks did 2 years ago, you have to go 2, 4A2's number 2. Then if you win that, you play 4A3 number 1. Well, you know who that's liable to be? Wagner.
Oh, yeah, of course.
A la going to Cushing and Grove 2 years ago.
Oh, boy.
But if you end up 2nd, first off, you host a home game. You host the first playoff game. Yeah, then you'd go to probably Poto. What we saw Clinton do last year.
Right.
Hosting Bethany, then had to go on the road to Poto. Or Ada, whoever wins that game more than likely. So neither way has an easy second game. That's kind of a pick your poison, but I would assume you'd rather not go to the defending state champs if you could avoid it.
No.
Weatherford on the fast pitch softball field, they will play North Rock Creek tomorrow, 6:30. So the first 2 are at Fire Lake, the last at OU on Saturday in the finals. They play North Rock Creek 6:30 tomorrow. That's the final game of the day in 4A. The others, Cache will play Newcastle at 4, Purcell and Poto at 1:30, and then Tuttle and Blanchard at 11. That's the fast pitch 4A state tournament bracket. So good luck to Coach Morris and the Lady Eagles tomorrow. All right, when we come back, we haven't even had a guess at the trivia question yet. Corey Seager.
Is it too hard?
I think if you think about playoff baseball over the last 25 years,
yeah,
two of these guys would jump to your mind. as hitting stars. Programming note. We'll have Austin Littrell tomorrow to talk about Elk City Chickasha.
He is with the, help me with the paper, Chickasha Star?
Something like that.
I don't want to mess that up. We want to give that proper credit. I can look that up. He does a great job covering them in that surrounding
Chickasha
area.
Express Star.
Express
Yeah.
Star. Thank you.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
He is, man. You follow him on Twitter. He is everywhere.
Yes, he is. So he'll be on first rattle out of the box tomorrow to talk about the Big Elks and the Chickasha Fighting Chicks. Right there, 9 o'clock. Right at first rattle out of the box, we'll have Austin Littrell on tomorrow. I think he's been on before.
Yeah, you asked me that earlier.
This week.
I feel like we've had him on.
I think we have to talk about this game. So that'll be good stuff. It'll be a lot of fun to get Austin on with us tomorrow. All right, Jared, go ahead. Yeah, it's your turn to gloat. But before you gloat, Corey Seager has reached safely 3+ times, at least 3 times in the last 5 playoff games, tying the longest streak in the history of Major League Baseball playoffs. He tied with 3 different guys. Who are those 3 guys?
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds is one of them in 2002.
Derek Jeter.
No. Wrong side of that rivalry.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe the most clutch playoff hitter of all time.
That played for the Red Sox.
Yes.
I'm drawing a blank.
Big Papi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
David Ortiz. The third one is a little harder. But here's the thing. It'd been hard to get this one. But if you were a fan of a certain player or a certain team in the mid-'90s, you will remember how impossible it was to get this guy out in that run for the Seattle Mariners.
Was it Ichiro?
No, it was before him.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Edgar Martinez. And how awesome he was hitting right behind Ken Griffey Jr. in the 1995 playoffs. You remember you've seen the play, right? Line drive down the left field line against the Yankees. Jr. slides in safely to win the division series to head to play Cleveland.
Right.
In the ALCS. And who hit that line drive?
Was it him?
Edgar Martinez. Those are the 3. 2 of those guys were easily thought of if you just think about playoff, you know what I mean? Like Big Papi. And it wasn't even those early years. This was in 2013 when he did it. But you think of the 03, 04 when the Red Sox Yankees were at the height of its powers. You can get that. J-Max talking trash about Ken Griffey Jr. I'm not even going to read that text. I'm not even going to look at it. I know what he's saying. I don't even have to look at it. And guess what? His Yankees were the ones that were terrorized by Ken Griffey Jr. All right, Jared, go ahead and gloat about your Rangers.
Well, I'm happy. They won. They look good doing it. And they got, I think the big thing for me is that they got Evalde pitching great. They got 7 innings out of him. Bullpen wasn't horrible when they got in a pinch. He made another switch, got him out of the jam. And that's the recipe for this success, is getting quality starts and letting the bats do what they do. And that's happened. And now the cherry on top of all this is there is real possibilities of Scherzer returning for the ALCS. And now they get to wait all the way to Sunday for Game 1, wherever that may be. And Scherzer could be starting that game. I think it's, if you ask me, if you put a truth serum in me, I think it's going to be Montgomery. But I expect Scherzer to be on the roster or whatever and not inactive. And John Gray, too. So the pitching could be better or more dangerous. The rotation could be more dangerous in the ALCS. And if they can get 7 innings out of whoever they put on the bump And if the bats can swing it like that, they had 3 home runs last night. The crowd was electric. It's exciting. It's exciting.
Does it concern you that Scherzer may come back?
It makes you wonder if he's going too fast, if he's forcing it. But I don't. It just adds another arrow in the quiver, you know.
Oh, if him and Gray both, I mean, then you actually, if they were healthy and they threw, you're seeing what the Rangers' formula was going into the season, and that is great starting pitching and hit the baseball, and then get far enough ahead where your bullpen really can't screw it up.
Right.
No, and the what ifs. Now, if you've got DeGrom healthy and throwing like DeGrom does when he's healthy, you wonder if that Scherzer move is ever made.
Oh, yeah.
But because it was made, let's just pretend. Think about that, and even Montgomery also, but my goodness. That rotation
Lethal.
is
Yeah.
strong. If with all those names being healthy, it's a crazy rotation that they could have had. Like I said, you know, if things are rolling, maybe they don't make the Scherzer move, maybe they don't make the Montgomery move. But since they did, and now you can just think about plucking those guys and adding them to what they already have. My goodness. Now I'm going to need some truth serum in you. What would have been the most optimistic you could have been about the Rangers season before it started?
Because
I'm talking about crazy optimistic, like everything falls exactly right. You don't get here, do you?
my optimism at the beginning of the year was, one, they couldn't have been as bad as they were in the previous 2 seasons. They had too much talent with Seager and Simeon. Then to get DeGrom, Heaney, Gray, it couldn't have been as bad. So my optimism, and honestly it kind of fell this way, was wild card spot, exit first round. That was I was like just get to the postseason. Just
like the best you could have imagined.
Yeah, that's just like a stepping stone. Like, okay, that's the first step. Just get to the postseason. But as the season wore on, we saw how it worked. They're 1 game away from winning the West, but here we are. So it's exceeded my expectations by far. That was my optimism, because I thought they're not in it. It's a win now mentality with those offseason acquisitions that they made with DeGrom, and then the year before with Simeon and Seager. It's not a keep doing what we're doing. There's a clear approach. The GM change. They got Bochy in there, who's a winning skipper. So my optimism was what I just said. Just get to the postseason. That was the expectation for me.
No, whoa. You expected them to make the wild card. Like most optimistic expectation.
Optimistic expectation.
Because I think when we talked about it, like
I was more of a buyer on them than sellers.
Well, realistic was play important games, after the All-Star break or into August?
Get in the conversation in August.
Yeah.
Be a part of that conversation, sure.
They did something that hadn't been done since 1990. You know what that is?
What's that?
Sweep an AL East team.
Well, they did it twice. It's crazy.
Yeah, this has to be I guess they didn't count the 3-game series.
They don't count the wild card series.
Yeah, counting of starting with like the division series or the championship series.
What the Orioles are, with maybe not winning the division, but because I think the Orioles are like a year away.
Yeah, I'll take the Orioles. That's
like
what
next year they might be the favorites according to Vegas.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Here's what I think: the Rangers are on such a roll that it was hard to stop them. But I think if those two teams play 10 5-game series, I actually think the Orioles win more than the Rangers do.
Well, it helped that the Rangers got out to that huge lead on Sunday.
Yes.
And then just held on to it.
Kind of got the one on Saturday, held on to that one 3-2.
Snuck one out on Saturday, and then got to a big lead and held on to it.
But they're just swinging
it.
And
I really had no doubt with them coming back to Arlington for the first time in over 2 weeks. First postseason game in Globe Life that involved the Rangers team, that crowd would be jacked up.
Yep.
They got Evaldi on the hill. I thought they have to win this game. There's no way they can't have and then they came out firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I thought the script should have been written, and they played it out. It was
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's exactly give the crowd a reason to stay fired up early, which they did with 5 in the second, and then just kind of cruise from there.
Did you see the video, someone's cell phone video of Garcia's home run?
Yeah, the one that almost hit their camera.
Perfect camera work, man. I mean, they just had the ball in the frame the entire time. And I thought, is he going to move? Is it going to hit the camera? What's going to happen?
Yeah,
and it was close. It was awesome. That was awesome.
I did see that indeed. It's right. I mean, from way out there in left field stands too. It's crazy how close it came. Houston looks like probably going to be the opponent in the ALCS as they stormed out to an early lead yesterday, knocked off the Twins in Game 3. So the Stros up 2-1. We're just needing 1 out of 2, 1 in Minnesota, then back in Houston if it were to come to that. Sure, Minnesota has a chance, I guess. And if they got to Game 5, I wonder if they would get back to what was the guy that pitched Game 2? Oh, he was awesome for Minnesota. Pedro, is it Pedro? I had a name.
Lopez?
Yes. Is it Pedro Lopez? That's not right. That's the guy that would come. Pablo, yes. Say Pedro Lopez, he would come play in the KECO. In the horse race a couple times. Yeah, so I mean so I guess if you're the Twins, you got to win Game 4 obviously to keep it going, but maybe you have a better chance in Houston than you would think with Lopez going in Game 5. Will the Braves get back home?
Good question. They play today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 games today. Both NL games and then Game 4 of Houston, Minnesota.
Man, they sure like to get back home. I feel like they have an incredible home field advantage when they do. So is Philly, right? I don't know. I don't even know who's Atlanta throwing.
Today's matchup. I had this on the report.
They're refusing to say who.
Oh, they haven't named a starter
According
yet?
to ESPN, it's still undecided.
Aaron Nola going for Philly. Yeah, sure enough, it's nobody.
I like all the underdogs winning, so I'll say no.
I don't know that they're going to get back to Atlanta.
I don't think so.
And then that'll mean 3 100-win teams don't get out of the division series. Taken for granted the Dodgers lose to Arizona. Dodgers, World Series in 17, World Series in 18, winning one of those. Since then, let's look at what they've done. In 2019, they won 106, and they lost in the NLDS to the Nationals. 2021, they won 106. They did make it to the NLCS, lost to the Braves. 2022, won 111 and lost in the division series to the Padres. And then this year, another 100-win season, and it looks like they're going to not get out of the division series again. With some of the losses, have they kind of become a regular season? We talk about this a bunch in the NBA, not as much in baseball just because the season is so long, but with some of the losses that they've incurred, have they just kind of become a team that can rack up the regular season wins, but they're not necessarily built for the postseason? Now, in between there, they had a World Series title, but it was in a 60-game season, so who really cares? It almost doesn't even matter with what baseball really is.
Right. Yeah, that you hear about teams that are built for the postseason, and maybe the Dodgers just aren't it.
They used to be.
They used to be, but then you got guys like Kershaw just completely folds when it comes playoff time.
Yeah, I mean he's been the constant, and he always kind of has. But they've think about some of the guys they've lost with Turner, Seager, Bellinger, that were those household names back when they were making back-to-back World Series appearances, even though they lost them both. But now it seems like maybe they're just
and
more
then
of
some of it's just a little bit of luck. I mean, you talk about hot teams. I mean, Tampa Bay was one of those teams everyone was talking about throughout the regular season. And then here comes a hot Texas team.
Yeah.
Same thing about the Orioles. And Diamondbacks are one of those teams, too, that they are a hot team right now.
And a lot of people wondering if that the wild card, it's
and
almost,
there's some familiarity there. Just keep that
there
in
is,
mind.
yeah. And both of these NL series play in division opponents. There's no doubt that I think that helps the team that came in front through the wild card process. But also, when you look at what's going on here, outside of Houston, there's a good chance that 3 of these 4 go down. Division winners. And a lot of people are talking about the layoff that now has been created, 4, 5, 6 games or 6 days to let those wild card series transpire. But then also I think, especially this year, if you look at the Braves and the Dodgers versus all these other teams were scrapping and clawing to the very end in the wild card race. So they've been playing playoff games for a month now, or for sure 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas these others have been kind of coasting, setting up their – they do get the advantage to set up their rotation. But, man, I think it's hard to match that intensity just, bam, right out of the gate when you haven't really had to in quite some time. So that's I think there's a lot to kind of discuss there and almost take sides of, depending on what that is. So that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting debate. I don't. No one in the world thinks that the wild card's going away because of the interest. I mean, it's just a cool thing. It's not like they're gonna. It's not like it's going back to to 1992, and you're gonna have 2 divisions and a CS. You know what I mean? That's not happening.
No, the wild card, the expanded wild card, whenever they did that, it adds to the intrigue during the regular season. When there's so many teams, when you add more teams into a playoff hunt, it just adds that intrigue. No, it's not going anywhere. I wonder if the scheduling, though, like the schedule of games, because that's benefited the Rangers a lot.
Yeah, they cut down on a lot of the division games. Used to you played everybody 19 times.
Yeah,
that's been cut down tremendously.
Yeah, you're playing everybody now.
And playing everybody and not missing out on some guys on from like the interleague and all that.
Well, I meant more like the playoff scheduling.
Oh,
I feel like it's benefited the Rangers pitching. We talked about that with the Rangers getting the 2 wins in Tampa Bay, and would they start Montgomery in Game 1 against the O's, and they did not. But it would have been like 4 days since his last start. It made them think about it.
Here's what's benefited the Rangers in their pitching and the schedule: winning.
Well, of course,
not losing a game.
Yeah, not extending a series.
That's exactly right.
Just win.
Yeah, winning every game is what's helped set all that up. And guess what? It happens again.
8 more, man.
It happens again. Now, true or false? Got reports that you have jumped in with the team and have written the amount of games left to win the World Series on your butt every day. Is that happening?
Well, I'm not going to show you my butt, but no, I have not done that.
You haven't gotten that far yet?
I may have been listening to Creed on the way to work. And I might still listen to Creed until this thing's done.
I think I've got a CD in my folding case. You want to borrow an extra?
Maybe the first album. I like the first album.
Yeah.
The second album's too commercialized. The first album was awesome. But they had a Creed higher sing-along last night at the game.
Hanging out here on a Wednesday. Of course, it's fall break across the state of Oklahoma, so that means Thursday night football in almost every single location across the state. That'll be the case for the Big Elks as they travel to Chickasha, another important Class 4A District 1 game. We're joined now by head coach Zach Maynard of the Big Elks. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing well. Last week, bounced back. It felt like that game against Cache was kind of almost a crossroads, a season defining. Either it goes this way or it goes that way. And, man, did you guys come out and play really, really well in a 35-0 win against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we got after it. I think, the thing that I was most pleased with was just how physical we were, coming off of a physical game previous to that. But then also really felt like we were more physical than we've been all year. And so that's always a good thing to see about this time of year.
It feels like some young guys are starting to kind of realize their role. You mentioned after the game leadership felt as good as it has been all year. Talk about some of those guys that are kind of stepping up and stepping into the roles and to fill the shoes left by the senior guys off of last year's team.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of that time of year where everybody's starting to kind of settle into who they are and who they need to be and who we want them to be. Obviously pleased with how things have gone as far as a growth aspect. I think we've just gotten better and better each week. Hopefully we can continue to do that and continue to push the envelope.
One guy that I've been especially just amazed with in the way that he is taking maybe a setback individually and turned it into a positive for the team is Catch. Everybody knew about the quarterback battle going into the year. Logan took that spot. But now with the wishbone, he's able to get involved offensively. And then on defense, man, he seems like he is the captain out there at that middle linebacker spot.
No, absolutely. Catch is an outstanding kid, an outstanding player. And really knew that we had to have him, on defense. We couldn't go without him as being captain and doing things right on defense. But, ultimately the game is about getting your best 11 on the field. And we felt like, having him at fullback, having him, be able to do some different things offensively really gave us an edge in some places and in some ways. Obviously he's a phenomenal kid, great character. Willing to do whatever it takes for the team, and so you love those guys, and obviously he's our leader on defense, and so just a great kid, really happy and proud of him.
Staying on the defensive side, that had to feel really good on Thursday night playing against a team that had put up 50-plus points in their 2 previous games, and you guys come out, shut them down, pitch the shutout. Talk about particularly the defense and how you feel about their performance.
Yeah, I think maybe as much as our offense has grown, I think you could say the same thing about our defense. Our defense has just gotten better and better. Really played really well against, Clinton the week before. Just a couple things there at the end of the third quarter, maybe the fourth quarter, where we shouldn't have gave up, but we did. Last week, extremely physical defensively against a pretty good, cash team, cash offensive line and run game. So really happy with that and just the growth that we've had, and knowing that was kind of the way that, the season was going to be. If we can start hitting our stride week 5, week 6, week 7, we're going to be tough. And so, we continue to push for that and continue to push in all aspects of the game, special teams across the board. And I think you can see that we're getting better at each week that we play. And if we continue to do that, continue to stay healthy, we're going to be tough.
The physicality of the game, it wasn't like you knocked the ball loose on one of the 6 turnovers, but how much does that physicality up front, maybe making the quarterback rush throws, contribute to then in the back end, you guys being able to make plays on the ball and end up 6-0 in the turnover battle? Well,
I think it's huge. You can we played that game, and then you can go and say that, you look at the Red River rivalry game. Before Venables, they've always had a big emphasis on creating turnovers. That was kind of the MO for Lincoln Riley. Well, they didn't happen. Why? Because they weren't overly physical. I think that the physicality that you bring to the game just allows for mistakes to be made at a higher clip. And so, I felt like we were extremely physical on offense as well. And extremely physical on defense. I think, several times you go back and just look at blocks that different people made, runs that different people made, and just, man, we were extremely physical at almost every position. And so that's winning football. That's the same way. It's just been the same MO for the last 3 years. So continue to do that, continue to get better at that, and stay healthy.
You took the words out of my mouth about being physical on the offensive side, too. It looked like you were taking the fight to them. Let me ask you, with offense and defense, there's been a lot of really good games this year, albeit some of it come up on the short side, but was that the most complete game your team has played this year, both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, absolutely. Not to the special teams were outstanding as well. Yeah. Coach Shane Thornton's done an outstanding job with them. Even go back to the surprise onside kick, to the kick returns, the punt returns, have all been really, really good this year. And I think the biggest thing Friday night was start the second half, they kick off, we fumble it. Well, we do a great job. We get a stop, backed up, and then on the second play, I think, of that drive, we have a 30-minute intermission. Because, the kid got hurt from Cash, which, I did hear that he's going to be just fine. However, at that point in the game, there's only about 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and everybody at that point is just going, let's just get out here healthy and let's go home. And so, the emotion drops, all the things, the intangibles of the game, especially when you're winning 35-0. I think it really kept us from, I told Coach Josie, I said, we are going to be very vanilla now. We're going to try to keep it all in a realm that we can just control it and get out of here 35-0. So, that you can say this or that's a little disappointing, but whatever, but, 30-minute intermission for a kid, and it's got to be carted off on that's just is what it is, and I'm glad he's okay. But other than that, it was pretty spotless for us.
Yeah, it almost goes from a 48-minute game to a 30-minute game with when that happened, and that last 18 minutes or so, just kind of like you said. I mean, we were talking about it like both teams. You could tell just let's get out of here. After seeing that became almost more important and. Then it's kind of it was just like running out the string at that point. Let's look ahead at Chickasha, 2-1 in the district. Obviously Murphy gone off of last year's team, the 2,000-yard rusher from a season ago. But quarterback back, Rayburn's got some athletic ability both with his arm and with his legs. Defensively, what are you preparing for from the Chickasha Fighting Chicks?
We've got pretty much all of it. They've got some really good skill kids. Their offensive line's really good. 72 and 71 really stick out on film. They're big, strong guys, get hands on you, can cause you some problems. The tailback, they run two guys back there, number 1 and number 8, and both of them look extremely explosive. They're good. They're athletic. They're a good football team. You don't have a winning or a 500 record at this point in the season in 4A if you're not pretty good. Especially if you play a pretty decent non-district. So, they're going to present lots of trouble for us. They're going to play an odd stack or a forefront, which, again, we don't necessarily know exactly how they're going to line up to us, which causes problems in and of itself. So however we show up, we play physical. I like our chances.
Health-wise, how are you?
We came out Friday healthy. Or Thursday healthy. We're good. We Ty Jameson's still been out with the ankle or calf. Hopefully get him back in a couple of weeks. Help add some depth in some places. But we're as good as we can possibly be right now.
Oh, good. I was afraid 28. Was it he just because of the score?
Well, he was still a little banged up from the week before.
Okay.
Excuse me. He got a deep tissue bruise in his thigh. But he's. You're not going to take 28 off.
I'll say if you're one of those guys that may be missing a leg, it needs to be out there.
He's a tough sucker.
This game last year felt like kind of the springboard to, really being a complete team, and then on through to a district title and then some semifinal run. It almost feels a little bit the same way coming off that win against Cash. Really great game. It stopped the losing streak. It just been a long time since that Bridge Street game where the schedule fell or whatnot. How much is this another opportunity to really kind of start to fine-tuning this thing into a machine that can do some damage in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think every week is that way for us right now. And so we're I think last week we really established who we are and who we want to be, even defensively. There's some things that we were playing with, had to get out of a 3-front. We moved to the 4-front against Clinton and, really probably should have moved the week before just to have game experience in it. And so, there's just a lot of intricacies there that when you're growing as a football team, you have to work through. And ultimately, if we continue to grow and continue to get better and fine-tune all the things that we now know who we are and what we're best at, you're right. We'll be tougher than nails when it comes time. It just takes time to get there.
I gotta get your perspective, kind of going away from high school football. What did you think about that OU football game on Saturday? As a coach, what are you thinking watching that game?
I thought it was a great game. The turnovers early, I thought really helped the Sooners. In just the fact of, me personally, I would have liked to see them being a little more dominant in the run game. I think that's the long punts and the more your defense is out there, the harder it gets on you. But Coach Venables is a guy. I don't know him personally at all, but his story and all his things, really pulling hard for him, maybe more than I was pulling for the Sooners. I wanted him to be successful, even being a OU fan growing up, and just wanted him to be successful. So very, I think that everything that he preaches and talks about, I think they're becoming what he says and preaches.
Sure, looks like it.
It's pretty wild if you want to make your mind go back. The similarities between the way the 1999 to 2000 season went and the way last year to this year went, it kind of makes a hair on your arm stand up. Just thinking about the way those, outside of the injury, I mean, that 2000 team didn't have anybody ever go down with an injury, and obviously Anthony here. But I know physicality is
paramount.
That game was ultra physical on both sides, and it always is because of that rivalry, I guess. But it seemed like this year it was cranked up, and I think a lot of it had to do with the OU side meeting that physical challenge with that guy on the sideline instead of the other.
No, and there's lots of plays that were huge that, the Coach Hunt, we were talking about it a couple of days ago, the block by the left tackle on the touchdown pass where he blocks two people. Just the differences between OU and what they've been recently really make a guy like me, defensive guy, happy because, 2 years ago that the pass Billy Bowen breaks up, that don't happen. That's a touchdown. And so the effort, the energy, the passion, all the things that Brent Venables talks about you're starting to see what that really looks like, and that's awesome.
I just had a question here. I saw you last night. Got to be happy with what's going on in the junior high with Coach Green and the way that those guys have started to develop and look like they're ready to make some difference here in a couple of years as well.
Yeah, no, the JV's playing well. The future is very, very bright for Elk City football, and that's kind of what we've talked about since I've been here. We want to be consistently good. We're not always going to be able to win a state championship. However, that's the goal, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. So, continue to grow, continue to get better, and each year we'll just continue to reload.
Absolutely.
Can we play on Friday next week?
I think we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, get ready for a couple more seasons of back-to-back Thursday. I found that out last night as well.
Thanks, Hunt.
Yeah, that's
I'm sure it's out of his hands.
It benefits us all if we'll let it benefit us. Play Thursday, go down to Dallas on Friday. We can all be in that stadium the next 2 years.
Yeah.
If you just let it benefit you, it can. Coach Maynard, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck to the Elks tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
It is head coach Zach Maynard. Remember, tomorrow, Austin Littrell, Chickasha Express star, be joining us. Former Elk City boy. He's a busy man, but he's got enough time carved out to talk about the game from the Chickasha perspective in the morning. Everybody have a great Wednesday. We have to put some rocks in your pants tomorrow. That wind's supposed to be howling.
That might be a thing for the game, too.
Could be. Everybody have a great Wednesday.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball